Hey Emma,
Yes, Mel.
what do you call it when you get on the trolley or like maybe a roller coaster that's in the park at an animal sanctuary that you can visit for fun that only has pigeons, but you're not allowed to laugh there because it freaks out the pigeons?
I don't know. What do you call it?
You call it the Raidou Kuzunoha. Hello and welcome to Talk This.
It's dangerous to podcast alone.
I'm pretty sure that joke just summoned a devil, host Madelyn.
It's okay. I wasn't listening. I was playing soccer, host Emma.
Dang, that's too real. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the show. This week, we're talking about Raidou Kuzunoha versus the Soulless Army, or technically, Devil Summoner Raidou Kuzunoha versus the Soulless Army, or maybe even technically Megami Tensei Devil Summoner.
I think they cut the Megami Tensei after the first one.
Implied Megami Tensei Devil Summoner Raidou Kuzunoha versus the Soulless Army. And also Despelote, which I did look up how to pronounce.
Yes, I've been saying it very wrong, is what I learned.
Despolite.
Yes, I think I just forgot there was an O in it.
That's okay.
So I apologize. Despelote.
These games are going to be so hard to mash up. I'm going to say that right now.
I have no idea what you mean. Easy
Emma,
peasy.
before we started this episode, Emma was like, oh, I still have to kind of come up with a joke, which is surprising, I know, to you listening, because the joke was so well crafted that you probably think I've been working on it.
There's the using the name really reminded me of like the very tortured name puns that are in the Ace Attorney games.
And they should hire me for those, to be frank. So anyway, before that we hit record, I was like, why are you having trouble with a joke? These are the easiest names to come up with a joke for ever.
Yeah, it's called a little something called sarcasm.
Never heard of it. That was also sarcasm. Anyway, Raidou Kuzunoha versus the Soulless Army, or Devil Summoner Raidou Kuzunoha versus the Soulless Army, is a 2006 action RPG from Atlas for PlayStation 2. It's in the Megami Tensei series. Do people really call that Mega 10? No, they don't.
I feel like some people do, yeah.
Some of the reviewers were like, as the cool kids call it, Mega 10. I'm like, I don't think so. I think the cool kids call it Inventors of Tokyo.
Inventors of Tokyo?
Yeah, this game invented old Tokyo. Persona 5, also part of the Mega 10 extended universe, invented new Tokyo.
Yes, right. Yeah, I always, when I'm looking for old games, every once in a while I'm reminded of just how many spin-offs Megami Tensei has.
It's weird.
Like, talk about, like, asset reuse. They were like, we made these demons. We're going to use them in every single game.
Well, you know what it is, really? They were like, hee hee ho ho.
Oh, yeah, they're like, we made Jack Frost. This is our Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
It will be in every game.
It's crazy they call the series Megami Tensei when they could call it Jack Frost.
They really should.
Hee hee ho ho.
Yeah, Devil Summoner is like sort of a more nebulous spin-off sub-series. In that, like, there's a couple different sub-series within it, of which Raidou Kuzunoha is one of them. What distinguishes it from the mainline series is in the mainline Shin Megami Tensei, the focus is more on the gods and demons and the way that humans are like weakly wrapped up in these big divine struggles, whereas Devil Summoner is more about humans in a more modern, realistic world that also happen to sometimes summon demons, like, secretly.
And Raidou Kuzunoha versus the Soulless Army is actually not in the modern world.
No. I guess I meant the real world.
I understand.
Although Raidou Kuzunoha is also in a fictional version of the historical world in a world where the Taisho period, which was a very short period in Japan,
Invented by Demon Slayer.
yes, went on for longer than it actually did. So it's set in 1931, but in the Taisho period, when in reality it would be the Showa era, I think.
So a lot going on,
Yeah.
basically. Anyway, in Raidou Kuzunoha versus the Soulless Army, which did have a sequel that came out a couple years later and then was just recently remastered, or really remade, to be honest.
Yeah.
And released as Raidou Remastered: The Mystery of the Soulless Army this year for like modern platforms.
Yes. The story is the same, but they really remade all the cutscenes and revamped the combat, both with developments from the sequel, which is Raidou Kuzunoha versus King Abaddon, and also additional improvements from that as well.
Just things that people wouldn't tolerate from 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Basically. They were like, we can't have this many random encounters.
Yeah.
People don't like that now.
I think the funniest addition, and one that was interesting, is you can save like multiple versions of the same type of demon. Usually when you register a demon in any one of these games, it just takes whichever, like, the last one you registered is. In this, you could have, like, your really cool Jack Frost that you use for combat, and, like, a very cheap, bad Jack Frost that you use as, like, a way to fuse new demons. Or, as the director pointed out, you could have a party entirely of Jack Frosts if you so chose.
Hee hee ho ho. Anyway, in Raidou Kuzunoha, Raidou is a high school student, as you always are in these games, really. Although he's looking fly.
I don't know if he goes to school.
He's a high school aged
Yeah.
boy, as you always are in
Yeah.
these games.
Yeah.
But again, he's looking fly.
Yeah.
Should I dress like that? Should high schoolers dress like that, do you think?
I mean, it is based on, like, the school uniform in Japan at the time.
That's dope.
So,
Let's bring that back. Anyway, Raidou Kuzunoha is not his real name. He's the 14th of his name. He has been trained to be a devil summoner, hence the title of the series.
Yep.
And he's been assigned to protect Tokyo from demons, more or less. And so to do that, he works at a detective agency, and the Narumi Detective Agency specifically. He's got a talking cat, and he's trying to protect Tokyo from demons and bad stuff. And so then the kind of the genesis of the game is Raidou and Narumi, he of Narumi Detective Agency, meet a new client who's a girl whose name is Kaya. They think that she's like a normal detective client, business is slow, whatever. And she's like, you have to kill me. And they're like, what? And then she gets kidnapped by some mysterious soldiers in red capes, red cloaks, red outfits, red soldiers. The aforementioned Soulless Army.
yes.
And so because they are detectives and this girl was sort of a client, Raidou and the gang feel that they have an obligation to find her. And things get weird from there.
Yes. There was a translated Famitsu interview for the remaster with the director of the remaster, Kazuyuki Yamai, talking about the original version of the game a little bit, because he was also the director on that. And apparently the idea for Raidou came about because they kept visiting companies that they would, like, collaborate with, and they all had, like, posters of, like, flagship characters, you know, like their main heroes or whatever. And so they were like, it'd be cool if we had that too. Because they didn't really. Every game is sort of different characters that they've made. So they didn't really have, like, a guy to represent the company other than Jack Frost, I suppose.
It's a real oversight. They didn't realize what they had.
So they wanted to make, like, a hero-like character, essentially, to represent the company. Raidou is a silent protagonist, like most of their protagonists in this series, but he's a little bit more characterful than some of the others. And despite only having 2 games, he is apparently quite popular in Japan, at least.
There were Raidou outfits for the Persona 5 kids before the remaster.
Yeah.
I mean, he's cool looking, so I understand it. They did create a good mascot character for themselves.
Also in interviews for the remaster, they've said that there's interest in continuing the Raidou series. Maybe either, this guy, the 14th, is a silent protagonist, but who's to say the other Raidous are silent?
Sure.
Was the quote. So.
What a thing to say.
Like, if they made it with this Raidou, he'd probably be silent. But if there's other Raidous, they could talk.
Why do you think, what do you think spurred the remaster, the remake remaster?
I mean, they've been re-releasing, they've been remaking their Persona games.
Right.
I mean, I think it's probably, they do a lot of surveys, Atlas, actually. And I wonder if they just got a lot of, man, I love Raidou. And so they decided to do it. But I think he's that's a popular, he's a popular character. This is, it maybe not as much in the West right now because in terms of availability, it was on the PS2. So,
right.
Older. Although these ones did come over here, unlike some of the original Devil Summer has never come over here, and Soul Hackers didn't come over until it was remade or moved to the 3DS.
Came over sans Mahjong, though.
We know Yakuza's popular now. They can include Mahjong.
I probably need to learn how to play Mahjong. I feel like that would be a cool thing for me to know how to do. But no, I read an article that was they cut Mahjong in the localization because there was no tutorial.
Makes sense.
I was you know what? That's real. There was no tutorial and little player payoff.
Yeah.
You know what? Can't argue with that.
Yeah, I get it.
Anyway, the way this game works, it's an action RPG, so it's a real-time. If you're thinking of Persona or whatever, you're probably thinking of a turn-based RPG here, but no, it's real-time. You've got a sword and a gun, and you can summon demons to fight for you too. So it's a little bit different than what you might think of as a classic entry in this series. Mostly you run around Taisho era Tokyo, and you talk to people, and you enjoy the scenery. And you fight a lot of random encounters unless you're playing the remake, in which case you don't fight quite so many random encounters.
Yes. You can also pick a companion demon to run around with you who can also help
Pikachu,
you.
Right?
Yeah, like Pikachu, exactly. Famous demon Pikachu.
Honestly?
Who, they have different abilities too, so they might be able to help you with investigation or traversing different areas of the environment as well. So there's a little bit of integrating the demon skills into things other than battle as well. It was also one of their earlier 3D titles.
Mm-hmm.
So the first game especially had a pretty small roster of demons because they just hadn't transitioned all of them into 3D models yet, right? Much easier to make some 2D artwork of a demon than it is to make a 3D model of a demon. So the remaster has a much expanded roster of demons compared to the original release, both from ones that were added for the sequel, which was one of the priorities for the sequel, was adding a bunch more demons, and some new ones from newer games in the series are also in the remaster.
Did you understand why Rasputin is there?
No.
Cool.
So, yes, he had one of Raidou's greatest rivals, who shows up a bit in the first game, but I think is very major in the second game. is Rasputin, the real guy. And if you're saying, isn't this set in 1930s? Isn't Rasputin dead? Not in this. It's fictional, remember? It's still the Taisho era. This also means that Rasputin didn't die, I guess? I don't know. But Rasputin, also a devil summoner. So, which, you know what? Probably people called him that, so.
Like, no doubt.
I did look up his, like, model, and it's like, yeah, that's Rasputin.
Yeah.
That's Rasputin with the signature, that era of Shin Megami Tensei, like, heavy eyeliner.
Nice. As he probably wore.
I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I read one thing that was like, oh yeah, like we wanted to have Rasputin in this, so we set it in the 30s. It's just so interesting.
I do want to clarify, the real Rasputin dead by the 30s.
Yeah, just in case that I thought that was pretty clear from what you said.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was dead. Yeah. It has such big Bungo Stray Dogs energy.
The Rasputin part.
This is the whole game.
The whole game? Yeah, a little bit, yeah. I mean, that's modern times, but I know. I'm not saying it's exactly the same. I'm just saying, like, the whole time it was like, oh, the title is even referential to, like, Rampo's work. Yeah. And I was like, oh, this whole thing is just, like, let's make Raidou Kuzunoha one. Do you think they will make a third one? I mean, I think we'll see whether the first one was a success based on whether they announce a remake for the second one.
Right.
And then I think we'll see them decide if they're going to make a third one based on if the second one's good. So that's kind of my guess.
Also interesting that many of the reviews called it out as like a shorter SMT. Here, this game is only about 30 hours, which if you're familiar with the other games of this oeuvre,
yes,
is like it might as well be a 30-minute episode of television.
Yeah. Yes, it is a relatively brisk. When they first announced this, people were speculating that it would be both games, but they ended up just doing because they are shorter. But they ended up doing just the first one.
I think it's good that they have a bite-sized series. By bite-sized, I mean the length of a normal game.
Yeah.
By bite-sized, I mean kind of long.
I mean, I just finished Shin Megami Tensei 4 Apocalypse at 60 hours, and man, 30-hour game sounds great right now. So
brisk. Well, it'll be interesting to see if this remake is a harbinger of more. Because, more detective games, not that this game is particularly, like we talked about mystery games and feeling like a detective or not. I don't think this game makes you feel very much like a detective. Yeah. Makes you feel like a guy with a sword and gun, mostly.
And some cool sidekicks.
Yeah.
Do you think, is it like it's not even as detective as like Detective Pikachu, I guess.
Probably not.
But it does have a similar vibe.
Because Pikachu is there.
Because Pikachu is there. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Raidou was also in the original Shin Megami Tensei 3. In America, it was Dante of Devil May Cry was a guest character. But in Japan, it was Raidou Kuzunoha.
Because he's a big deal.
In the re-release of Shin Megami Tensei 3, I believe now in both versions, you can choose whether you want Raidou or Dante. So.
Because he's a big deal. Honestly, Dante could be Raidou Kuzunoha 15. That'd be kind of fun. Just a thought. Just something to consider.
It does make me wonder if one of the, they went to, Capcom and saw, Dante. And were like, man, we should make a character like that,
Maybe.
And that's why.
I've got similar vibes, so not out of the question. Oh, should I say the name of that series again, just for fun? Devil May Cry?
Devil May Cry.
Daniel Day-Kim.
Yeah, I'm still interested in trying this remaster out. I have not gotten around to it at this point, but it seems neat. I really like I can't remember what the character designer's name was. But I really like this era of like their character design. Shin Megami Tensei 3 also has character designs like this, the way they have like the really heavy black outline on the eyes, and like it's just very distinctive. Something about the way the face is that's very charming to me.
Then you'll have to get it and look at their little faces.
Yeah. I love to look at some little faces.
I don't know if it appeals to me. Like, I like beating things up and I like little collectibles, so like maybe, but the story doesn't quite have as much of a hook as I would want it to have. That's why Madelyn hasn't played this review.
I mean, the second game is definitely better regarded overall.
Yeah, well, I can't play that one. So
I know. I'm not saying that.
That's no good.
But, I mean, this one does take the gameplay improvements of the second game. Plus some. But, so that's part of why it's better regarded. But I do think people maybe like the story better in the second one, too. And I mean, who wouldn't? Rasputin's there.
That's all you need.
It's got Rasputin.
If you play it, will you have a full party of Jack Frosts, do you think?
I think that would be fun. I don't know if I could do it, but I do think it would be fun.
Hot take, Jack Frost should be Raidou 15.
There you go.
Hee hee ho ho.
You know, there's a special demon in Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance that's Jack Frost, but dressed up as the protagonist. I think they should probably add that to every game going forward.
That's freaky.
What do you mean that's freaky?
I don't like that.
There should just be a society of Jack Frosts that are all dressed up like characters. Yeah.
I mean, cool, but freaky. A whole squad of them. All 11 men. Speaking of squads, and teams of 11, Despelote.
Lotte, isn't it?
Despelote, you're absolutely right. No, it's with an E. Oh, no, it's not. It's misspelled in my notes. That's why I've been saying it wrong. Jesus Christ. Despelote.
Sorry, Despelote.
I played this, too.
Yes, there is a developer interview just on the Panic who published this site where pelota is ball in Spanish. Mm-hmm. And there's some sort of saying, which I could not repeat well, but it has like despelote in it, which means like, this is a mess. Mm-hmm. So it's sort of like supposed to be some sort of play on words with those things. So
good, I support that. So Despelote is like an adventure game, sort of first-person adventure game. That came out in May of this year. Published by Panic, developed by like a few guys, basically. It's about soccer, and specifically about being a kid living in Ecuador, in Quito specifically, during the qualification rounds of the 2002 FIFA World Cup, which, spoiler, is when Ecuador qualified for the very first time.
Mm-hmm. It's sort of semi-autobiographical, it seems
Except
like.
It's not, but it is.
That's why I said semi.
Right, that's what semi means.
Yeah.
Go on.
Semi-autobiographical for the game's designer, Julian Cordero. It's his 8-year-old self.
Yes, he was of a slightly different age when this was happening and has like taken his feelings and moved them into a character that is more mobile, basically.
Yeah.
So yes. So you're this little 8-year-old kid, you're a big soccer fan, you love soccer, both like kicking the ball around and playing your little soccer video game and periodically looking at soccer games on TVs. It's all in this sort of graphic style of kind of washed out grainy photographs, basically.
Yes.
So the whole world you're walking around in is this like very like stylized, playing with memory sort of vibe, with the exception of like things you can interact with or characters that you can interact with are more in kind of like a kind of childish hand-drawn situation. So it's a fun and interesting mix of styles, and also makes it very clear what you can do anything with, which is nice. Kind of like yellow paint when you think about it, but
They should have just splashed yellow paint on the characters you could interact with.
Probably like a referee. Anyway, like basically the game takes place in like more or less 5 episodes with some interludes in between, each corresponding to one of Ecuador's qualifying matches, and you know, it cuts forward a couple months each time. And so during each of these little interludes, generally how it goes is like, you know, you're a kid and you're doing something, and then your mom is like, be here by this time. And then you can kind of run around freely and kick your soccer ball and listen to people and have a good time until you get back to where you're supposed to be at the time when you're supposed to be there. And that's kind of the general overall structure. The whole game is only about 2 hours long. I played it in a night, which I continue to be intrigued by the idea of the one-sitting game, by the way.
I played a demo for it during one of the Steam Next Fests that I think was like a 15-minute demo. So I played enough to get a sense of it, but I've definitely not played the whole thing. So
it doesn't, the overall like vibe of what you're doing, I would imagine, doesn't change very much based on my experience. But this game got like really great reviews, particularly I think from reviewers who felt like this resonated with them background wise.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of like very kind of personal reflections in these reviews. I enjoyed it. I think, and this is fine, I think in some ways it wasn't gamey enough for me. I thought it was a touching story, and I enjoyed the 2-hour experience of it. And at all times I also sort of felt like, am I missing something?
I think that's sort of the point, at least
I
from
agree
the
that's sort
reflections
of the point.
that I was reading, yeah.
Yes. I agree that is sort of the point. That the game captures something about being a child and being kind of aimless and just like wandering around or whatever. But as a gamer who is used to checklists, and as a person who's used to checklists, I did feel a little anxious. Like there was one episode where my friends, like their soccer ball was stuck in a tree.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept trying to steal a soccer ball from the older teenagers nearby to like kick it into the tree and knock our soccer ball down. And I like couldn't do it. I did get the ball over there a couple of times without the teenagers shoving me to the ground and being like, you're a loser. But I couldn't hit the ball accurately enough to hit the other ball. And I felt like I was failing. I was like, oh no, like I should have gotten that ball down. Like things would have happened. And they didn't.
What do you mean? You got to be shoved to the ground and called a loser multiple times in a row.
Like 10 times. In my cute little suit that I was supposed to wear to my cousin's wedding.
Oh.
And I came back and it started raining, so I think this would have happened anyway. And my mom was like, what happened to you? I was like, Mom, the teenagers beat me up.
Yeah, but in a lot of reflections I was reading, it was talking about like you would pick up on like snippets of like adult conversations. That's but like true. Not really be able to follow it because you're playing soccer at the same time.
Yeah.
Which is a very, I feel like, child experience, right?
It's true. Also, like, periodically, like, during all of these, you can, like, look at televisions and see, like, the time passing in the game and whatever. So, like, that was, I don't know, sort of a neat touch, like, real footage from the game.
That is fun.
Yeah. There's even like light spoilers, I guess, here, but eventually in the game, you know, they like show the goal that like gets them to the World Cup, right? And like the voiceover is sort of like, well, like we couldn't like okay, so like some spoilers here, I guess, right? Some spoilers for this game. Like there's a point where the developers like become the narrators basically. And so they were like, we were trying to figure out how we wanted to depict like the moment of the qualifier, right? It's so emotional, like what a huge deal, and nothing really felt like it did it justice. So we're just going to show you like the actual broadcast. But also the only broadcast we could find with an Ecuadorian commentator had like an ad running when the goal was played.
Oh my god.
Happened. So we're just going to play you that. So there's like an antacid ad in the corner, like you can't even like see the ball go into the goal. And I feel like that's the feel of the whole game, right? Is like those little like moments or like little delightful things. It's very much a the principle of getting something hyper specific and feeling universal. It's a lot of like I was pulling a lot of things out of reviews of like, oh, it's a rare this, it's a rare that, right? Like there are not a lot of games that are autobiographical.
Yep.
Really. I mean, is every dad game kind of autobiographical? Like, yes, but only in theme, not in reality. So yes, there are not a lot of games. I mean, of course, on an indie level, there are more. But it is interesting to think about, like, oh, like autobiography is like a huge thing in books, and to a lesser extent, those kinds of things get adapted into films in some way all the time, and TV and whatever plays, and you don't really see it in games. It's pretty rare to see a South American story in games. Also pretty rare there are a lot of sports games, but not a lot of games about being sports fans.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, also it's like only 2 hours long. And it's about kicking a ball. I did really like the sections where you are playing the in-game soccer thing. I thought that was really cleverly done. There's like a lot of things where you are a kid playing like, it's a take on a real, it's like on like Dino Denny's soccer or something. So it's Chino Tinny's soccer. But it's, it's like a very basic little soccer video game. In a lot of those segments, you're like playing that game and there's also conversation taking place around you, or like someone who's partway in front of the screen, like your mom is trying to talk to you about something. And I was like, that's good. Like that was a very interesting way to both immerse me in this and also make me think about the character in a way that like oftentimes when you're like playing a video game within a game, it's more like, well, the other game has stopped. Right? Like you're just playing pole position now. So that was cool. I liked that a lot. And there is kind of a big reveal at the end that like I did gasp when it happened. A change to the graphics and a change to the focus that did genuinely surprise me at the end. But overall, I felt like it was thoughtful. I was glad I played it. And it was an interesting way to tell the story, but I don't think it's not gonna be my game of the year.
Fair enough.
Yeah. But some interesting little, like, the interstitial stuff, kind of interesting too. Like, a lot of, like hints at, like, what's next for this character, or, like, other things going on. It's interesting. There's a lot of interesting things happening here. I just think... Yeah, I don't know. I struggled a little bit with the aimlessness of it, which is part of the point. But just didn't quite scratch the itch in my brain.
It's okay to be gamer brained, Mel.
I know. That's all it is. But because it was only 2 hours, that was fine.
Yeah.
Like, had this game been any longer than this, I might have gotten bored. I did not get bored, but I could sense that I would have.
Fair enough. I don't know if I was ever really like a soccer fan.
We went to, I was talking about this recently, we went to at least one DC United game.
Yeah. And that was fun, but like I didn't like watch DC United.
Do you still have that scarf somewhere? Can I have that?
Probably. I don't know.
Cool.
I don't know where it is if I do. But I don't throw a lot of things out, so maybe. But yeah, we played soccer, but I don't remember really being like knowing any players or really watching games outside of like teachers putting on the World Cup.
Freddie Adu. That name just came unprompted to my head. Does that...
That doesn't ring any bells for me. It's a good name, though.
I'm almost sure Freddie Adu played on DC United.
It's a good name.
Yeah, American former soccer player, Freddie Adu.
I think maybe there was one year I got very into watching the World Cup, but like even then it was more abstract, I feel like.
Well, it's hard to be a soccer fan in the States, and it's a little less hard now, I think. I think it's, but I do feel like when we were kids, or certainly around the time that this game was set, like, you could be a big fan during the World Cup.
Yeah.
Or you could be a weirdo who's really into the Premier League.
Yeah. Yeah, soccer's just, I guess part of it is that just soccer fandom is just not as big in the United States as it is in South America or Europe.
Like literally anywhere else.
Yeah, yeah, literally anywhere else.
No, you could be a football fan like that here, probably.
Yeah.
Football. I don't think you could be it's hard to think of what corresponds. I mean, probably football. I feel baseball just has here's my hot sports take. Baseball has too many games for you to be a fan like this.
People are really into baseball too. The problem is like there aren't really like national teams for football or baseball.
That's true.
Like part of the experience of this, I think, is because it was like the country's team was qualifying for the World Cup.
Well,
right?
It's also a very different experience to not be the U.S., right?
Well,
like,
sure, yeah.
I mean, and I don't mean, this game does by the way also do like a little bit of like shading of the like, not shading, like throwing shade, a little bit of like background shading in of like it's kind of tough times in Ecuador.
Right, yeah.
Right now. But like not even thinking about that. It's like when I think of watching the Olympics, I'm like, ooh, like the US is going to win like 70 gold medals.
Right, yeah.
Right? And it's very different. I mean, this game starts by saying Ecuador won, I can't remember if it's their first gold or their first medal. I think it's their first gold medal ever in like speed walking in the 98 Olympics or whatever, or something like that. Maybe it wouldn't have been 98 Olympics, 2000 Olympics, something like that. And everybody learned how to speed walk.
Wow.
Right? Yeah. And so like there are parallels to that in like when somebody does well in a weird sport in the US or in an unexpected way, like things can blow up. But I feel like that sort of underdog mentality, or that, pulling for the whole team in a way that doesn't feel preordained. Like there's no question that the US is going to qualify for the Olympics in any given sport.
Right.
Other than maybe soccer. Just kidding, but like also not really.
Yeah.
So, it was interesting from that perspective too, to think about, yes, not only are the truly big sports fandoms things that don't really have the equivalent of a national team, but also even for things that do have national teams, there's just none of that like, there's just none of that, this has never happened before, or like this might not happen energy. Right. It's like, will Michael Phelps win gold again?
Yeah. So are there also like, you mentioned like they showed like footage and that the developers cut in sometimes. Is there like sort of a documentary type side to this too? Or is it just sort of that part?
I mean, there's definitely a little bit of a documentary side of it, and that, it's the snapshot of this time in history. There's also, I mean, the development team, I don't know if they're all based in Ecuador or like where they are based or that sort of thing, but they did go to Quito for both some 3D scanning of the environment and also recording audio, which the audio in this game is so good that you don't really notice that it's really good. Mm-hmm. Basically. It's like this very naturalistic running around the city feeling that they did record a lot of those sounds like in person there. And like, yeah, they talk about in some of the game, they're like, yeah, like we were in this park and people were like, don't go in there with your microphone, because, like, it's not, that microphone is too fancy, it's not safe. So yeah, they did do a lot of, like, literal capture of the space, both in terms of, like, scanning the park where much of this game takes place, and also in capturing real sound. So that's really neat. But I wouldn't, it's hard to call it like a documentary because so much of that stuff, like even the World Cup stuff, is happening really peripherally. Like, right. If you didn't choose to look at the TV at any point, you wouldn't have to experience very much of it. So it's a documentary, but like a 7-year-old filmed it.
Sure. Yeah, you just mentioned, like, autobiography isn't, like, a genre, and I was thinking, like, just, like, nonfiction.
Yeah.
Or even, like, creative nonfiction kind of isn't really a genre, outside of, I guess, Rasputin appearing in Raidou Kuzunoha. That's creative nonfiction, I guess.
Let's not discount Rasputin here.
But yeah, there's not, like, an equivalent to, like, the documentary or, like, the historical text or anything, really, in games.
No, yeah, I mean, this game exists in mostly reality. I mean, it's, like, the main character is a somewhat fictionalized version of the developer. It's not, like, a real person. But the place is mostly real. Which, yeah, is, I mean, I don't know. What's the best example of that? Of a game that's mostly real? Probably Spider-Man.
Yeah. I guess.
Like, honestly, hot take, and I'm moving into mashup here a little bit, are the Marvel Spider-Man games kind of like a mashup of these two? He's kind of a detective. I mean, he's really a cop, but he's like a real-time action detective, and it exists in a real place.
I guess it would have to be, like, historical New York, though.
Honestly, that would be sick.
Like the noir Spider-Man from the Spider-Verse.
Yeah. J. Jonah Jameson chomping on a cigar.
Yeah. Well, any last Despelote thoughts before we officially move into the mashup?
It costs like $10. It's basically sort of a playable...
I think it's on sale. I think it went on sale yesterday.
I bought it.
Oh, okay.
Sale. So it's on sale right now. You can get it this weekend. It's cheap. Yeah, I played it all in one sitting. I think, like, you could split it up, but I did feel like it kind of benefited from that sort of just, like, immersing yourself in the kind of childlike memory of it all in one sitting. If it had been even one episode longer, I think I would say split it up because it's too much. But it was an enjoyable experience. It was a different type of game, and if you're looking for something to, like, do for a couple hours or for, like, a plain game or something like that, it's not a bad pick for that. I don't think it's gonna... The reviews were so glowing that I was sort of like, I understand what you're getting at here. It also, I want a game to be a little gamier than this, maybe. But as a piece of interactive fiction, I get it. I am a gamer. I've been
Madelyn,
poisoned.
You're so gamer-brained now.
It's not that I'm gamer-brained. It's that
you just want to hit button to parry.
I'm rat race treadmill pilled. Okay, I must be achieving something.
So if this was the same, but, like, the ball picked up stuff and it got bigger, it would be a good game, is what you're saying.
Yeah. If this was a game about rolling a katamari in 2002 Ecuador, it might be a better game. No, I'm just kidding. Like, thoughtful, lovely little game. It would be cool to see more thoughtful, lovely little games like this. I hope that they make some money.
Yeah.
Now the mashup. Impossible.
Yeah.
Well, this has been another episode of Talk This. It's dangerous to podcast.
It's soccer, but Rasputin is here for some reason.
Like, honestly, maybe. Like,
they should make a Shin Megami Tensei sports spin-off. How about that?
People would love that.
You kick Jack Frost around.
I hate to say, though, that what you have mashed this up with here is Rocket League, which was last time.
I'm just taking the soccer.
I know that you are, but I want to be careful that we don't just make Rocket League.
Fair.
Like, the soccer is an important part.
There wouldn't be any cars in this one. I feel like I should clarify, at the very least.
But, like, there has to be something of the kind of, like, not melancholy, like the memory play of Despelote, I feel like, is what's actually important, less the sports.
I mean, it would be, in general, I feel like it would be interesting to have more, like, historical type games.
Yeah.
I mean, you could do a snapshot of the actual Taisho era, I guess.
Sure.
Like a little slice of life episode.
Yakuza-ishin.
Somehow I feel like there's things that happen in that aren't the real Taisho era. If it's even set during that time. I don't remember when Ishin
I don't
takes
think
place.
it is. I just...
I'm just putting that out there. I don't know. I feel like, there's some creative liberties
not.
taken. But you know what I mean? You could really do that anywhere. I'm just taking Taisho from Raidou Kuzunoha, obviously.
Sure. Yes, something taking place in a recognizable past era.
That's more of like a documentary style approach to it, I guess.
Sure. I don't quite know what that would be. I mean, like, that could be literally anything. What's the gameplay? How are you going to scratch my gamer itch?
Man, I feel like I'd have to know more about, like, what was big with the kids in 1920s Japan.
Sure.
I don't know.
You could throw it back that far. I mean, you could throw it back that far, but if you want to capture the, like, documentary feel of it, it would probably need to be more recent than that.
Sure, you could do, 60s? Was the 60s like the Tsukubans, the delinquent girls?
I don't know enough about Japanese culture, but
the
sure.
River City Girl types.
Oh, sure. That could be cool.
Whenever that era was, when you had all the delinquents with maybe it was the 80s. The 80s probably sounds better.
I feel like you could do, like, I'm also trying to think of, like, major, like, country event type things. Like, it could, like, lead up to, or I feel like you could do, like, a fall of the Berlin Wall thing, right? Or, like, before the Trump election. Just kidding.
I feel like we shouldn't compare. There's some happy things you could do too, probably. I guess the fall of the Berlin Wall is happy.
Wall is not a bad thing.
You're right. Yeah, I was just being like, as compared to qualifying for the World Cup.
Right. Sure.
Just picking some like happier, maybe like more locally significant events.
Sure. The problem is I don't know what those are because
I know it would take some research.
Yeah. We'd have to find someone who had an experience.
Finding someone with an idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like there is like a subset of games there that you could make that would be like interesting and new. Maybe not good for your gamer brain, but like,
Yeah, just a whole series of kind of like grainy photo recollections of different places. Sure.
And Jack Frost is there.
Hee hee ho ho.
If you find him, you unlock Rocket League Jack Frost edition within the game.
Well, I don't think I can top that. I think that's probably the peak mashup. Other than, look, I won't argue with your like, oh, there should be a sports Persona game. Like, I don't really think that's a great mashup of these two games, but it's a good idea.
They make so many Shin Megami Tensei spin-offs. They really could do anything,
They could.
They could make like a Jack Frost adventure game. That's another one for you.
Like, honestly, just Jack Frost in front of any genre would be, like, cool.
Exactly.
Well, listeners, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Talk This.
It's dangerous to podcast alone.
Listeners, does Jack Frost say he ho ho, or is it he ho? I actually don't think that's right. I think I've been saying something that is almost right, but not right.
He says he, and he says ho, and I think that there can be multiple combinations of these syllables.
Listeners, what does Jack Frost say? Say that to the tune of "What Does the Fox Say?" That itself is a mashup that I think they should do. What would your grainy childhood memory game be about? When do you think the Taisho period actually ended? How long should a Megami Tensei game be? How many sub-series can a series have before it collapses in on itself? How many soccer balls can you kick? How many times can teenagers push you down before your mom says, "What happened to your suit?" If you have thoughts about this or anything else we talked about this week, hit us up on social media. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Blue Sky at Talk This Podcast. You can also visit our website, www.talkthispodcast.com, where you can learn all about the show, check out the games in the hat, and read our blog. But most importantly, if you enjoyed the show, you ought to subscribe. We're on Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, TuneIn, Spotify, Pandora Podcasts, online and on the app, Overcast, Pocket Casts, wherever you can find podcasts. Go ahead and subscribe to Talk This so you never miss an episode on Sundays. It's my side quest next week, so whatever. Games about school, games about labor, that's this week.
Yeah.
Games about September. Who knows? Tune in to find out what I want to talk about, but in 2 weeks, what are the old and new games, Emma?
For our old game, we are talking about Sunset Overdrive.
Cool. We haven't done that one?
I don't think so.
I don't think maybe we just talked about it in the context of something else. Go on.
I will double check, and
okay.
If there's an update, we'll let you know next week. And for our new game, oh boy, we're talking about Mind's Eye.
What's oh boy? I haven't heard of that one.
You'll see.
Okay.
With your
Can't
mind's
wait.
eye, in fact.
All right. Well, listeners, that's it for this week's show. Thanks for tuning in. Emma, sign us off.
This week, I hope that you listen to your mother.